So I'm back. Today I'm back for another quarantine virtual diary, video diary. I don't remember what I named this. Anyways, today I just want to talk about love. Like I said in the previous entry, I think that this quarantine has definitely made me rethink a lot of things and maybe not even rethink things, but just question some stuff. And so the topic of love came up today. And there are a few things I want to touch on. So first, just like my journey with love as a young woman. Not that this is important to the story, but I feel like it is. So I've always had self-confidence issues, like pretty much all my life. But definitely as an adolescent, I got bullied a lot for my weight, my looks, my nose, various things. And so that just always took a toll on how I viewed myself. And I really just never viewed myself as good enough. And it's odd because I'm saying this and I've been watching a lot of like body positivity TikTok compilations. And it's really cool to like see all the girls be so like, confident in their weight and things like that. And I'm always like, wow, I didn't see any of this when I was a kid. And I think that it's great that people are doing that now. But I think when I was 16, I started to really lose weight and things like that. And I got more shapely. And then all of a sudden, all the attraction came. And, even then, I still I just didn't feel the confidence that I thought I would once I lost weight. And it's really funny because one of the girls on the videos on TikTok, she said something from a tweet somebody said that she saw on her feed or whatever. And she said that most people don't want to lose weight. They want what they think losing weight will bring. So people want to feel confident. They want to be wanted. They want to feel desired. They want to feel attractive. It's not the weight loss that they want, And honestly, that really hit home for me because it was just like I associated losing weight to me gaining confidence, me being attractive, people wanting me, people treating me like equals and things like that. And I realized that you can lose all the weight in the world and it still not make you feel like you're enough. And so for me, I've always struggled with that, especially in the arena of love, because it's hard to enter that space when you don't love yourself that much. And so I've always had a problem with engaging with men where I feel like I'm always giving way more of myself than I'm getting in return. And I've always been under this philosophy as if that if I can give enough, if I could be enough, then somebody will love me or feel that I'm attractive or feel that I'm good enough, If I just continuously to work at it. And also this sexologist, Shannon Boodram, she said something that was really cool, really important to me, where she said the things that work for us in our professional lives and things like that do not necessarily translate into our love life. And in my previous video, I said that I was always somebody who was very focused and very clear about what I wanted. And some would say I'm very much a go-getter and I'm very persistent. And that has not always worked in my love life. Like, that has not been something that is really translated over. But all that said, that's just my background about, just having a lot of unresolved trauma from being in situations where I already don't feel confident, and then having that reaffirmed through my situations with people has just never really been healthy or whatever. And then another tweet that I saw, it was a while ago, that I thought was really interesting and definitely applied to my life is, this is the second thing I want to talk about, which is, the tweet said that not being able to ask for what you want or not being able to communicate your needs as a lover is a trauma response. And that got me thinking, and it's like, I'm not somebody who is I realize this about myself, is that I'm not somebody who is able to communicate what I need and what I want out of love, because I'm so afraid that if I assert myself in any way, or if I ask for what I want, then that person will leave me. And I think that is a trauma response, where it's like I'm so conditioned to that if I do this, or if I say something out of line, or if I am something that I think they don't want, then they'll just leave. And so I'm so conditioned to be afraid of someone leaving me that I'm never really truly who I am, you know? Again, this is all backstory to why I want to talk about this today. So, long story short, because I don't even want to start getting into names and all various details, because it's been a 24-year, not even 24-year. Anyway, so this person that I've liked, loved, I don't even know, felt something very strongly for a very long part of my life, and even felt it when I didn't even know that I felt it, right? And so I've had such a back and forth experience with this person, and it really got me thinking about, you know, what is love, you know? And I think that love can be a lot of different things. From where the way I grew up, I've always thought of love as an action word. I've always thought of it as something you do, you know? And there are different parts of love. Like, a big thing that's always been taught to me out of love is that you sacrifice. And sacrifice not in the way of you're giving up something, like you're giving up a part of yourself or anything like that, but sacrifice in the sense, like, for instance, if you love someone, you know what I'm saying, truly, you may not like doing the things that they like doing all the time, but I don't know, it's not even really a sacrifice because you love them, but essentially, like, some things are just not always about you, it's about the relationship. And also, I was looking at Insecure the other day, and the therapist in the episode, she said something to Molly where she was like, do you want to be right, or do you want to be in a relationship? And so I guess for me, relationships and love have always been a process. And I think sometimes in relationships, you do have to sacrifice. You have to, you know, compromise and things like that. And something else somebody saw I'm a very scatterbrained person, so I'm sorry about that. But something somebody else said that was interesting to me was they were like asking, this is another thing that I think is important about me, is that for me, I don't really view relationships in a hierarchy. Like, I don't really feel that the tools you need for, you know, your relationship with your friends or your parents or your brother or anybody, I think all relationships are the same. Like, you put in the same amount of work to make any relationship work. So if you're talking about a romantic relationship, that's the same type of effort and energy and sacrifice you would put into a relationship with anybody else. And also, I'm a person who firmly believes that, you know, it's important to pay attention to how people treat people who cannot do anything for them. You know, I think it's weird that people are like, oh, you know, I treat my girlfriend like this, but everybody else I don't. It's like, the way you treat people who are in no direct relation to you, and the way you treat people who cannot directly influence or affect you in any way, that's what kind of purpose. That is the kind of thing that really matters. That's what really says a lot about a person. And I think that's what really says how you treat people. So anyways, I really don't think that any relationship is different in that sense, but dang, I totally forgot what I was about to say. But going back to the whole love thing and this person. So about love being an action verb. So I think that over this quarantine, and I joined this book club before the whole world shut down and whatever, and we was reading this book about just enlightenment and things like that. And it was talking about, and one of the girls in my book club, she brought up the point that, you know, people always say that love is an action verb, which I don't disagree with, but she brought up a point that love is also a state of being. It's an embodiment. And that really hit me, because it was like, this person that I feel this strong feeling for, right? I've never felt any type of disdain or like anything negative towards him, even though, you know, we've been through a lot of stuff that has not been positive for me. But even after all that, I do not feel anything bad towards him. And so I started to think about, even with that, I know that he may not be the most positive thing for me. And that doesn't negate the fact that I still may love him. And that's when she said about love is an embodiment, it's a state of being, I realized that when you look at love as an action verb, it also has this undertone of that there needs to be reciprocation, that if I do something or if I love this person, then they need to love me back. And that's not always necessarily true. I remember some years back, Lauryn Hill said something about how we don't know unconditional love, you know? And, you know, you just keep your ears open. You're like, wait, let me hear what she's saying. So she's like, we really don't know unconditional love, because when people stop engaging us, when people stop giving us what we want, when people stop doing things that we want them to do, we stop loving them, you know? And in that sense, love is attached to an action. Love is attached to them doing something for us, making us feel a way. And when the girl from my book club said, and from the book we were reading, she was like, well, that's not that that's wrong, but love can also just be a state of being, that it can just be a feeling that you feel for somebody, and you just approach that situation as if it is just yourself. And I mean, I think that the way she was explaining love as an embodiment, as a state of being, is also how sometimes I feel like you have to move in the world, especially for me. Like I am a very sensitive person. I'm not sensitive in the sense where it's like I'm like crying or anything. And I don't think that's necessarily the only type of way you can be sensitive. Like I'm not like a, you know, I do cry, but I'm not an outwardly emotional person. But I am very sensitive. Like a lot of things, I'm moved by a lot of things, whether it's negative or positive. I'm very moved by things. And I think that for me, in order to survive and not be in just a depressed state all the time, I have to move in the world as love, like as love as an embodiment, like as a feeling. And I think that when she said that, and I thought about my situation with that guy, it's like, if I move in life just as love with no reservation or no hindrance about what you're doing or what you're not doing, but I can say that I am moving in the world and I'm approaching situations with the utmost care and concern and from a good place, then what you do with it is none of my concern. And I think that that's powerful, especially for me, to unburden myself from feeling like, what am I doing wrong? Why is it that, you know, all that I'm giving and I'm not getting it back? Like, you know, and it's one of those things where it's not about what people are giving back to you, what people are doing or not doing, feeling or not feeling. Is if you genuinely feel something for a person and you want to share it with them, then just share it with them and don't have any type of hold up or any type of like feeling about, you know, if they're going to give it back or what they're going to do with it or what they're going to think about it. Because if you are thinking like that, you're going to always be putting yourself at a disadvantage. And that's so strong. Even with like my friends, like I've been having a lot of friends who've been just, you know, going through their own stuff, you know, which is valid, going through their own stuff. And sometimes I'm like, dang, like am I not being a good friend, that my friend doesn't feel comfortable enough to just even say, you know, hey, I'm going through something. Not even that you have to explain what it is, but just say, hey, you know, I'm going through something and I'm just having a hard time. But like, you know, I always feel bad. Like, you know, my friends, I won't hear from them. This whole thing started in like March. Like some friends I have literally not heard from since my birthday. And it's just hard. It's really disheartening to me. But I really had to say to myself, like, some people, they're going to go through their own things on their own. And it has nothing to do with you. And there's nothing that you're not doing that is, you know, like, it's not that you're not being a good friend. You know, it's not that you're not being a good person. Like, you know, and all you can do is just be love. Just be a loving person and hope that whatever they need, that they can find peace where they can find it. And, you know, I really feel like that's what love is, you know, where it's it's literally just a state of being, and you just cannot be concerned and weigh yourself down with what is somebody else going to think about, you know, what I'm doing or how I'm acting, or you know what I'm saying. And I think that, again, that's really me and my history, and me just, that's my trauma response. Is like every time I just think that, you know, there's something wrong. Sorry. these things are like together. Okay, I think that's so sorry. But just thinking that there's something, you know, wrong with me, and that's just not the case. And so I don't know, but that's a constant work. That's a constant reworking of the mind, to really just say that I can just be love in the world, and I can care for people, and I can extend myself, and I don't have to worry about if they give it back, if they don't. Like, I can just take that burden off my shoulders and just be myself. Another thing that's really quick that I don't really know has to do about love, but it does have to do about romantic relationships with men specifically. It's hard. Like, it is really difficult sometimes, because this is another thing me and my friends were talking about. You know, we were saying how, you know, sometimes men have such, like, no, this is the point I was trying to make earlier about someone was like, you know, because I have a really good relationship with my mom or whatever, and someone was like, you know, do you just not argue with your mom? And I said, I don't see why you would necessarily argue with anybody you love or trying to be in relationship with. I just said, I was like, in my opinion, the connotation of an argument is to be right. It's for somebody to be right and for somebody to be wrong. It's to prove yourself right and prove someone else wrong. When you're in a relationship or trying to be in a relationship with somebody and loving some person, I think that you're looking for discussion. You're looking for to just talk things out, because that has a endpoint of dang, what's the word I'm looking for? When you're discussing something with someone, or you're talking it out, that has the end point of having some type of compromise or understanding. When you're arguing, the end point or the outcome of that is completely different. And I think that's important to realize when you're talking to somebody that you love, or you're communicating your needs in love, you need to understand what is the outcome of that conversation. And I feel like if in any loving relationship that you're in, when you're talking to that person, that's what it needs to be. That's the point I was trying to make before. Quickly, because I don't want the video to be too long, because it takes too long to upload. The other thing is, as a woman, especially in my life, I've had a hard time, like I said before, about communicating my needs. And the thing is, I don't have a problem communicating my needs. I have a problem feeling safe enough to do it and to feel like someone's actually listening to me. Also, something I realized is that with men, specifically in my life, men have always been very clear about what they want, or not even that they want, but just they're very clear about like we made this example, right? You know, where if a girl cheats on a guy, the guy's up and ready to go. Like, he at any moment, it could be the smallest thing, he's ready to go. The dude can do twice as worse, two times something worse, and the girl would be ready to like talk it out, communicate things like that. And you know, I have a large group of friends, women friends, and everybody's like, "That's crazy," da 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 da. And I started to think about it, and I was like, "Listen, this is how I feel." I was like, though that might be wrong, right or wrong, who's to say? But can you fault him for having a standard and sticking to it? I said, we all, even myself, I need to really be clear about who I'm upset at. It's like, if you have a standard and if there's something that you do not want, you cannot be mad at somebody else because they have a standard and they stuck to it, and you have one but you don't stick to it. And I was like, there have been so many times in my situations with men where it's like, I know that I don't want this. I know that I don't want this. I know this does not make me feel good. It does not make me feel loved. But I waver and I falter. And it's like, and to do that for somebody who would not even give you the same type of grace, that's crazy. So praise report, this dude was trying to give me something that I was just like, absolutely not. I was like, that's not even, this is a whole nother conversation. We could talk about pleasure and like things like that. I'm like, you're trying to give me something very, very unthoughtful and everything like that in order for me to give you something, but you're not concerned about what makes me happy or what gives me pleasure. And I told homeboy, I was like, listen, I am in no way going to tell you that what you want to do is right or wrong. I'm just saying you might have had the right idea, but the wrong. Okay. Period. You get my point. You know how to finish the statement. Anyways, so that's basically what I want to talk about today. I was definitely rambling, but I'm a very stream of conscious person. The thoughts just kind of come up, and I try to stick to a point. But Andrea, in the future, when you listen to this, sis, you just don't. Anyway, so that's my thing, and I guess the end of the thing is for today. The question is 2 questions. The first question is, what is love? And how do you want to be loved? There you go.